Viewers, post your location and your local time in the comments. It's always wild to see how far these stories travel. Now picture this, a man jolts awake at 6 in the morning, not to bird song, not to coffee brewing, but to the grinding mechanical roar of concrete trucks right outside his window. He stumbles out in pajamas, still half dreaming, thinking maybe the city finally decided to fix that crater in the street that's been swallowing hubcaps for months. Instead, he finds 3 trucks lined like soldier chutes extended, dumping wet cement straight into the creek that runs behind his property. This isn't just any ditch. It's the creek where his father taught him to fish, where summer afternoons smelled like sunblock and motor oil, where the gentle splash of water was the soundtrack to his life. By 6:30, he notices the water level rising against the garage door. At first, it's a trickle easy to ignore, like that one leaky faucet people swear they'll fix tomorrow. But by 700, water is rushing inside, swallowing 20 years of his work. His father's 1967 Mustang, the same car restored over 3 painstaking years, is now bobbing like a half-sunk relic. Specialized automotive equipment worth more than his mortgage short circuits in muddy water. $45,000 gone before breakfast. Historians still argue whether heartbreak feels heavier when it's sudden or when it drips slowly. He'd tell you it's both. He calls insurance act of God, police civil matter, the city a 6-month investigation queue, like waiting for your number at the DMV only to find out they ran out of forms. The system built to protect working people has left him standing knee-deep in water and rage. Then she appears, Diane Carter, HOA president, in a designer suit and stilettos sharp enough to aerate lawns. She looks at his wrecked garage, wrinkles her nose, and dismisses it with a smirk. Some old cars got wet. Hardly catastrophic. He nearly chokes on his fury. When he explains that not everyone can shrug off $45,000 in damage, she delivers the line that will echo for years. Maybe working people should live where they can afford flooding. It's a masterclass in arrogance, the kind of sentence that would have made medieval peasants grab torches. But instead of erupting, he swallows his anger. He plays the fool, nodding like a clueless mechanic out of his depth. Let her underestimate him. Because beneath the grease-stained coveralls lies something Diane Carter could never imagine, a hydraulic engineering degree tucked quietly away for 20 years. While she sneers, he's already calculating. While she struts away, heels clicking like a countdown clock, he's promising himself that patience, not fury, will win this war. And tucked deep in his toolbox, hidden under catalogs and rags, is the credential that will transform this HOA dispute into the storm of her life. He spends the following days like a ghost-haunted hollow, moving through his ruined garage as if every soaked tool is whispering his father's disappointment. Yet while exhaustion claws at his ribs and sleep dodges him like a bad debt collector, something else grows stronger: focus. See, Diane thinks she's up against a grease monkey, but in truth, she's up against a man who once designed flood control systems for 3 counties. It's like mistaking a chess grandmaster for someone fumbling with checkers. Historians still argue whether underestimation is arrogance or survival instinct, but either way, Diane's error will prove fatal. His first step is reconnaissance. The construction foreman, a wiry guy named Mike Valdez, looks twitchy enough to be hiding state secrets. During lunch break, our protagonist ambles over with 2 cold beers like a friendly neighbor. Mike hesitates but cracks one open, and in that sigh of carbonation comes the truth. He knows the project is shady. Digging deeper later, the man discovers Mike's story. Single father, 12-year-old daughter in need of surgery, $15,000 he doesn't have. Desperation explains his silence. More chilling, Diane has been threatening to report him to immigration authorities even though he's a legal citizen. Classic intimidation, as old as feudal lords squeezing peasants. That night, he lays his cards on the table. Shows Mike newspaper clippings about Diane's $2 million fraud in Arizona, stories of families she scammed into bankruptcy. You'll be the fall guy when this collapses, he warns. The contractor's face pales like paper in bleach. Then comes the offer, help me document her crimes and I'll help fund your daughter's surgery. It isn't a bluff. He's got some savings and nothing motivates him more than protecting a child. Tears shine in Mike's eyes as he whispers, "What do you need me to do?" Just like that, the enemy camp is compromised. The recordings start flowing in. Diane ordering skip safety checks, bribing inspectors with 10 grand in cash, barking that 12 houses must be sold within 20 days or she'll lose everything. Her empire is duct taped together, wobbling on the brink. Even her BMW isn't safe. He quietly redirects overflow from the creek toward her driveway, letting nature baptize her luxury car. When she shrieks sabotage, he shrugs, creaks unpredictable since you blocked it. A petty act, sure, but revenge doesn't always need trumpets. Sometimes it hums like a mosquito in the dark. Meanwhile, sabotage escalates. A loose wire in the community center turns her $30,000 investor presentation into an awkward blackout comedy. The bank loan extension she desperately needs, delayed when her luxury ride gets coincidentally towed for parking violations. Each blow rattles her like a boxer staggering on the ropes. The community starts whispering too. 8 families confide their own horror stories of fines and harassment. Beige mailboxes fined $500 birdseed deemed pest bait, fined $1,000. This isn't governance, it's extortion with a clipboard. And now those victims rally behind him, forming a coalition hungry for payback. Piece by piece, the puzzle is complete. Illegal permits, bribery, audio, financial desperation, even plans to flee to Mexico. But the real bombshell comes when Mike brings a newspaper clipping of his dead brother, a contractor, who accidentally drove off a cliff after threatening to expose Diane's schemes. Suddenly, the line between fraud and murder blurs. And in that moment, holding evidence that Diane Carter may have killed to protect her empire, the man decides patience has lasted long enough. Tomorrow she will learn the truth. The simple mechanic is an engineer armed with science sharp enough to slice her empire wide open. He walks into Diane's office the next morning carrying a 47-page engineering report like it's a sword. Her smirk fades when he sets his professional license on the desk. For weeks, she's been mocking a dumb mechanic, and now she realizes she's been sparring with a licensed hydraulic engineer. He spreads out maps, soil analyses, flood flow charts, every page dripping with math she can't refute. All 12 of these houses will flood within 72 hours, he says evenly, pointing at the forecasted storm system rolling in. 4 feet of standing water, maybe more. Diane blusters about lawyers and city officials, but her voice cracks. Historians still argue whether panic sounds like silence or screaming. This morning it sounds like her stiletto heel tapping against the tile. Mike steps up too. With his daughter's fundraiser finally complete, he's no longer shackled by Diane's threats. He delivers the evidence recordings of her ordering illegal shortcuts, bribery attempts, even laughing about the Arizona families she destroyed. When the storm hits, 3 TV crews are already set up on his signal. Rain pelts the rooftops, cameras roll, and just as he predicts, water seeps into the corner house by 8:45. Reporters gasp as science plays out like theater. By 10 o'clock, one home is visibly sinking into soft soil. The cameras catch it all, his engineering precision, Diane's lies unraveling, Mike's trembling voice confessing her threats. It's David versus Goliath, only this time the slingshot is calculus. Within hours, the FBI steps in, slapping cuffs on Diane as she wades through waist-deep water in designer shoes. The image goes viral, the queen of contempt drowned by her own fraud. The network of crimes unravels faster than wet drywall fraud in 3 states, racketeering, witness intimidation. He becomes a federal witness, his father's creek suddenly a national symbol. But then the story warps. Agents reveal his late father wasn't who he claimed to be. His real name, David Blackwater, a whistleblower from the 70s, who exposed senators stealing Native American water rights. The Morrison name, a protective alias under witness relocation. And Diane, his cousin, her fraud, a twisted continuation of the same conspiracy. The revelations spiral. Jennifer Morrison, daughter of the real man whose identity his father assumed, bursts into a White House ceremony accusing him of living a stolen life. DNA tests, witness protection records, decades of buried history, all of it reshapes his understanding of family loyalty and legacy. Instead of tearing them apart, though the two families merge, pooling evidence across decades, their partnership detonates like dynamite under the corruption senators, indicted judges, disgraced corporations, stripped of billions in stolen water. Laws change, communities reclaim land, and the Morrison Creek Act becomes a beacon of environmental justice. Years later, he's standing in that same creek, teaching his children to cast fishing lines where his father once stood. The water runs clear again, a ribbon of survival through generations of deceit. The neighborhood thrives, rebuilt stronger, overseen by engineering ethics that bear his name. And yet peace remains fragile. Because just when he thinks the war is over, a call comes from the UN. Diane Carter's prison cell is empty. No alarms triggered, no guards alerted. Only a handwritten note addressed to him. The fight, it seems, has only changed battlefields. The wind down begins here. Imagine the rain subsiding, the storm clouds drifting like tired giants across the horizon. The roar of trucks, the shouting, the courtroom echoes all soften into silence. Our storyteller exhales slower now, and his words stretch like dusk shadows. He reminds us that even in chaos, patience can be a weapon sharper than rage. That sometimes history circles back not to punish, but to remind. The creek flows gently once more, carrying not cement but memory, not destruction but resilience. He lingers on the image of water, how it bends, flows, waits, and yet always finds its way. Just like truth. And as his voice fades to a whisper, he leaves you with this: justice may take months, years, even decades. But like water pressing against stone, it will carve its path. Close your eyes, breathe with the rhythm of that creek, and know that even against the strongest walls, patience, science, and community will one day flood through.